I completely understand that. I think that my fear is that once we secure those social media channels and handles, and then we don't use them, then it looks, for lack of a better term, lazy on our part. If someone were to come across a Facebook page or a Twitter handle that is not that's been reserved or secured but is not being used, then it makes the organization look less engaged or less involved. So, at the pleasure of the commission, we can absolutely start just, kind of securing those names, but there's just a negative side to that as well.
Commission have any thoughts on this?
I would just add, this is Representative Steinborn again. I can see your point, Secretary Latham, and yet I feel like maybe as a target down the road, perhaps once we build a website for this, perhaps we can designate someone in state parks. Once we're ready to begin promoting the segments that have been designated, perhaps at that point we can begin to promote that. And I think it would be wise to create a Facebook presence and Instagram and other things. I mean, once we feel like we have a product, we're ready to market anyway. And then put some, but we do have to have resource, that has to be resourced, obviously. I mean, when it comes to social media, you need to push out content fairly regularly. So obviously you need a product and someone to do that, and we're not quite there yet.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Steinborn, yeah, I agree with you. I believe, and I think we can put some pretty good social media out with regard to what we already have existing within our state park system, and then we'll build from there. So, yeah, I agree with you.
Does that approach seem acceptable to the commission? Very good. The interagency work group, Representative Steinborn and Commissioner Zuni.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this particular work group, because of the jurisdictions involved and some of the sensitivities involved, in having some discussions, we felt it helpful to have a little bit more materials in hand to be able to begin to do that work. And so it's good to see we have a fact sheet now, and I know Secretary Zuni is thinking about tribal outreach and beginning to do some of that as well. So I think this will help create a foundation that we can then build on and begin to give some educated information to the various constituencies around the state that will be involved in this.
We have not met yet.
Okay. Well, Representative Steinborn's comment about the fact sheet is timely because in the front of your booklet, we have a draft work product on the Rio Grande Trail, a fact sheet, and we'd like to get the Commission's comments, corrections, suggestions, or approval of the fact sheet.
Motion to approve. It looks great.
I have a motion to approve it. Do I have a second?
I second.
Are there comments?
Put a wet blank on it. If it's poured, no,
Yeah.
there's a back.
There is one of them.
We do have one.
Great.
Going once? Going twice? Yes.
So looking for a second.
It's a beautiful flyer. I'm wondering if this is the best picture we could come up with on the backside here. Give me for saying that. It's an interesting one, though. The other folks like that shot?
Which one?
The one out by Elephant Butte.
It's a good depiction.
Of the
I
trail.
think it's a good idea.
And that's the whole point.
It has water in it.
Yes, it does. A lot of water.
A little bit too much water, probably.
All right.
Photoshop it out.
Beautiful, though. Who did it, Mr. Chairman? Who did that? State Parks?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the marketing program in New Mexico State Parks and Energy, Minerals, Natural Resources.
They did
So
a great job.
Christina Cordova, back there behind the camera, did a lot of work on it. Beth Wayon out in the audience, so
Good job.
our graphic designer.
Okay. All in favor of approving the fact sheet, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? That's approved.
No, one question. Who does this go to, or how is it going to be utilized? And I'd certainly recommend and request that a copy be sent to all 112 members of the legislature at some point, because I think they need to know what it is that we're doing.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Cisneros, this was actually generated due to the last meeting that we had. We had several members of the audience when we were in Taos that had questions about the basics about what the Rio Grande Trail was, had some questions as to with regard to the voluntary status of the trail, and just we felt that it was really important for us to pull together a fact sheet for those folks that had questions, for other interagency folks, just to have a nice briefing. And so I think that we'd be happy to make copies and get this distributed as you folks feel appropriate.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
The reason I wanted to wait to get the interagency work group going was to do something like this, because it's really important to take something, and I'm specifically thinking about the tribal stakeholders, because now I can take this and say, this is the proposed. What I really, really wanted was to really identify those tribes, nations, or pueblos that it would directly affect, so that I could get them in one room, so that we can really educate at that level. So this is a good start, and I'm waiting for the definitive map, but that can take, a year, whatever, I don't know, I'm just saying. So at this point, this gives me a really great start to take it to the tribes and say, we're thinking about this area. So we ought to engage those stakeholders early on anyway, whether it's gonna go through their tribe, nation, or pueblo or not, as well as other stakeholders. I'm just speaking on that.
And Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Zini, I feel like we could probably pull together some sort of a more general map for you with regard to that, so that when you're speaking to some of the new governors and existing folks, that you can have something to at least start that dialogue. So we'd be happy to work on something like that with you, so that you have that kind of document.
Perfect, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to request if Commissioner DeFoy can send that out to all of the commissioners, the map, digitally, the map and the document, so that we would all be able to be equipped.
Will do, thank you. And, as Commissioner Tafoya mentioned, and this came up at our meeting in Taos with some concerns of some of the Native American folks that were there. This is strictly voluntary. There's no provision for eminent domain or what have you. It's strictly voluntary, and we hope that, and we've already gotten tremendous response from some of our federal agencies, and we certainly appreciate that. One other presentation that we might have had this morning, Representative Steinborn had spoken with a person named Sharon Thomas, who's a former city councilor here in Las Cruces, and she wanted to talk about something called the Loop Trail. It's something going on here in the area, city, county, and Mesilla, that are currently working on this, and it could connect to the Rio Grande Trail. So we will follow up with her. She was prepared to be here and make a presentation, but she's had back surgery and is undergoing physical therapy, could not be with us this morning, but we will certainly want to interact and collaborate with those folks.
Thank you.
Now we'll open it up for public comments. So we have a microphone. Yes, in the back.
So just wanted to say this is awesome. I love this concept. I've looked forward to this for a long time. I heard about it a while back. So one thing I was glad to hear about the presentation on the design and planning, because one of the things that I would like to see is I get the concept of the whole trail through the state and then breaking it down by south, central, and northern, but also maybe focusing down, and I'm sure you will, I don't know, focusing down on the communities too, because I understand that it's an economic development driver. It brings people from out of state, that's great. But also, how is our local communities that hit this trail along the way going to be able to access it and use it? How do we do that? We talked about the presentation from the people from Insights talking about how being outdoors helps your mental health, physical health, all those things. So assuring that our local communities, as they hit this trail, can access those easily, tap into those and use those on a daily basis. And then there's also the long term of people that are going to use this trail. There's people that do the Pacific Trail from one end of the country to the other. So it's a great opportunity, but being able to focus in on those type of things. And then also the discussion or the great comments made about multiple use, and horse trails don't necessarily go along with biking or walking or running trails, because you don't want to be biking and stepping in those type of things. So those ideas and all that is great to hear all that. I look forward to seeing this move forward, and hopefully can help with that. There's local groups here in Las Cruces Road Runners, Carlos is here from Run Culture, all the people, the outdoors groups that are part of this, Southern New Mexico Trail Alliance down here. Great collaboration, and I'm looking forward to this moving forward, and hopefully all of us being able to help out. Thank you.
Thank you. And could you identify yourself, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew Bencomo.
With?
I'm just a citizen.
Just a citizen. Great.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Again, I'm Dan Carter, with the president of the Southern New Mexico Trail Alliance. And I want to thank you all for making great strides on this project. It's really exciting to get it going, and thank Representative Steinborn for sponsoring this bill last year. I guess we're approaching the 1-year anniversary, and reaching out to the Southern New Mexico Trail Alliance while I was on the Pacific Crest Trail, nonetheless, to have us as a part of this. And just want to mention that, yeah, we're the Trail Alliance, and we're already working on a lot of things in line with what the commission is doing for the trail, and we just want to be a part of whatever we can to make it a successful trail and get it done, in a timely manner. We're building a skilled volunteer force to actually maintain and build trails, and we have outreach to different organizations and user groups in the Southern New Mexico region. Social media, a website that's pretty inclusive of lots of different organizations, maps, mailing lists such as that, so that we have a lot of outreach going at the moment already. And we also represent a lot of the non-motorized users in the region. And a lot of them have brought up points of, who the user groups, who the trail is being built for, and it sounds like it's for multiple users. And I like the idea that was brought up of, having parallel routes for different types of users. And this is common, like on the Pacific Crest Trail, where you have an alternate for not for bicycles, but alternate for like horse riders. And the other trails might have an alternate for bicycles and hikers, such as that, so you don't interfere with sensitive areas. Just reiterate that that we, the success of a long distance trail such as this is an alliance with many organizations and communities that make it successful. I mean, that's been the case with all the long distance trails in the country. So just reaching out to organizations such as the Trail Alliance and other organizations to coordinate everyone and get them behind it be really important to make a success. And with that, ever since this was approved last year, at all of our public meetings, I think the Rio Grande Trail has had the most enthusiasm behind it from the public. They've asked us about what the Rio Grande Trail is, before we even knew what the Rio Grande Trail was. So people, the community is definitely excited about it, and it's a really exciting idea that I think everyone's going to get behind. And if possible, like the fact sheet or the summary of the route, if we could get that as well, and we could promote that on our website or at our events so that we are informed, and then we can go ahead and help inform the public about that as well. I think people would be really excited about figuring out how they can get behind it, you know, sooner rather than later. So thanks again.
Thank you.
My name is Tammy Scher. I said I'm part of Velo Cruces. I'm on their board. But I also do a number of other things. One of the things I am is a tour leader and an event director and a tour planner for Adventure Cycling Association out of Missoula, Montana. I travel all over the United States, and I plan and direct and lead tours for families. And I've done them in Idaho on the Trail of the Coeur d'Alenes, throughout Colorado on their multi-use paths from Silverthorne all the way over to Glenwood Springs. I also run one in Minnesota on their Paul Bunyan Trail, and I'm going to be running one on the Great Allegheny Passage. And in about 2 years, we're going to run a family fun trip there. So adventure cycling sends me out to all these places. So when the Rio Grande Trail came up, came up on my radar as this is an excellent opportunity in tourism to promote New Mexico to other places.